everybody. What I'm going to be talking to you all about in this video is going to be APIs, application programming interfaces, and how we can actually end up using those in Google Apps scripts. So I just started off with API. What an API is, it stands for application programming interface, as we mentioned, and it allows us to communicate from one application to another by making requests to an application's backend, where basically all the data is stored. And in this backend, we can end up finding different endpoints, which is going to be different information. And so what we're going to be using is this sampleapis.com. So this is just some sample APIs that are found, but like even for Canvas, for instance, Canvas LMS, they have backends as well as their API backend that they can request to certain endpoints. What I'm going to be using for this is going to be the avatar API. And so if we end up using this is actually the endpoint here. And what we can end up doing is I can actually copy this and I can even paste this into the URL, and so you can see that we get all this information. Now this information is in JSON data, as you'll see that is also indexed into a list. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at this information. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get to the synopsis here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go into my API here, and I'm going to go ahead and delete all this. So I'm going to name this by Bellringer23. I ended up creating a new script here, and what I'm going to start off by doing is I'm going to create a variable. Now this variable is going to be avatar data. And what we can do is we can use the Urlfetchapp, and what we're going to end up doing is we're going to make a fetch. Now what I'm going to put in here is going to be the string, which is that API endpoint. Now what I can do next is I want to get the content text is what we're going to end up actually doing. Now in terms of this content text, if we end up logging this, we can end up printing this avatar data. Now if I end up running this, you're going to end up seeing that it looks like this, right? And so basically what we want to do is we want to convert this to JSON data. And so what we can end up doing is the following. So I can create a new variable and I can actually use the JSON function here. So avatar JSON data, we're going to go JSON data dot parse, and then what we can end up passing in here is the actual avatar data. This is going to get it into the format of being JSON data here. And so now I can end up going there, or we can end up printing this out. So let's print that out. So avatar JSON. We're going to put the semicolon at the end there and we can run this. So now we end up having it be the case where we've got it in our JSON data format now. So what we can then do is we can end up getting information about this. So I could go var synopsis equals, and then now what I can do is I can actually reference this JSON data. Just as we said before, it is indexed into a list. So I'm going to index into a list, and so now what I can end up doing is I can actually call the information from this. I'm also going to end up making this correction here with the synopsis. So synopsis is spelled that way, but if I put the dot here, I can end up actually pasting that in there so it gets the synopsis data or the information from that JSON request. Then if I end up going to logger.log, I can actually end up logging to our console the actual synopsis data. So then I'm going to save this, I'm going to go ahead and click run, and so now you can end up seeing that the synopsis data is pulled there. Be very, very careful, because if you end up spelling anything incorrectly here, then it will not show the information. So synopsis in this case is spelled correctly, and so now we can see that information that's pulled. Anyways, hope that was helpful. See you all.